Cancer have just released the first album in 7 years, so I want to ask the question, do they still have it?
So I was obliged to come.
Today I'm talking about the UK death metal band Cancer, and they have a new album out called Inverted World, released on April 25th, 2025. So let's talk about it.
We have such sights to show you.
First, a quick history of this band. This band formed back in 1988. It's England, and the story is that the three guys are drinking beers, or they're drinking pints in a pub in England. And I guess one of them says, hey, you want to start a death metal band or something along those lines.
Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
And I guess they exchange phone numbers the next day, or they schedule a meeting and they start playing. They eventually release a demo called No Fucking Cover. That was in 1988. Then they released another demo in 1989 called Still No Fucking Cover. Then by 1990, they're able to release their debut album called To the Gory End. A year later, they released Death Shall Rise in 1991. This one was controversial because of the cover, and it got banned in Germany just because of the gruesome cover. Then 2 years later, they released The Sins of Mankind in 1993. Another one, more brutal, death metal, another awesome album. They released Black Faith in 1995, and this album was a little bit of a change in sound. Keep in mind it's the mid-90s. A lot of people called it Carcass Heartwork 2.0. It had that type of sound. So after that, the band breaks up. They reform in around like 2003, 2004. They release an EP. Another album, Spirit in Flames. They break up again. Then they come back 2013. So this is really their, I guess, second comeback, and call it that. They released Shadow Gripped in 2018. And that's the last album they ever released. And this brings us to 2025, where they release Inverted World, and that's the album in question. That's what we're talking about today. This new album, Inverted World, was released on Peaceful Records, and yes, it rips. It's a great album. You got chainsaw guitars, guttural growls, full force, no apologies, death metal. And it isn't evolution, it's resurrection. But here's the kicker, it's not just noise. Lyrically, it's bleak, dark, dystopian, talks about mind control, religious extremism, existential dread, typical death metal stuff. There's a single called Amputate. And this is a critique of Belgium's brutal colonial rule in the Congo. They have a music video, which is actually a lyric video, and they kind of show images of that. That's what I'm showing right now. And another song, which was a single called Corrosive, about an infamous acid bath killer. So lots of horror movie stuff. Critics are calling it brutal, addictive, atmospheric, but Cancer is not reinventing the wheel. We don't expect them to. They know who they are, they know what their sound is. With Inverted World, they make it sound fresh again. The album opens with Enter the Gates. It blends thrash energy with classic death metal. There's lots of chugging, plenty of speed, there's razor sharp solos, and it reminds you guys why they were one of UK's underground staples back in the day. But this album isn't just a nostalgia trip. Tracks like Until the Died crank it up with brutality with tales of medical horror, set to blast beats and sludgy riffs, while Amputate and When Killing's a Murder slow things down just enough to let the darkness creep in. You'll find doom-dense riffing, buzzsaw tones, even a few vocal shifts to keep things from getting too predictable. The mix of pacing is key. Mid-tempo crushers like 39 Bodies in the title track help to ground this album, letting you appreciate the detail in the drums, the guttural vocal delivery, and the sheer riff density. They're not reinventing death metal, they're showing they still know how to do it right. There are some curveballs too, though. Test Site brings in these melodic flourishes with these tribal drums and nods to UK's early 90s scene. Think of the band Benediction, but with more of a modern crunch. A song, Jesus for Eugenics, is probably the most surprising moment here. It opens with clean guitar arpeggios and spoken word vocals. It descends into this moody, slow-burning death metal dirge that wouldn't really sound out of place on a Bolt Thrower album. For fans of fast death metal, you got Covert Operations. It's a total ripper, all buzz, all speed, and it's actually a simple chorus, and it really makes the song quite catchy and it sticks. Meanwhile, Corrosive closes things out on a brutal high note, has some sick and vile riffs and straight up Cannibal Corpse style lyrics. So now that I talked about the songs, what's the final verdict? Well, they're not reinventing the death metal wheel, but that's not the point. They came back to let us know that their name still holds weight. They still know how to play. First off, it's a return to form. You got the buzzsaw guitars and amputate to the thick, swampy grooves in When Killings and Murder, and the same grim, blood-spattered death metal they've always been known for, but with a kind of purpose and confidence when it comes to the band that knows exactly who they are. There's plenty of variety. You got straight-up old-school thrash bangers like Enter the Gates and Covert Operations, and then they slow things down and they drag you through the mud with tracks like Jesus for Eugenics, where the clean guitar intro and spoken vocal delivery pull you into something darker, more atmospheric. It's not all blast beats and carnage. They know how to build tension when it counts. And the guitar work is another highlight, whether it's the classic palm-muted chugs, the eerie harmonics, or those tasteful, wad-drenched solos like the ones in Inverted World. There's lots of love for the genre's roots here. The riffs are tight, the tones are nasty, and the breakdowns hit like a lead pipe. With that said, there are a couple of things that might not land for everybody. What? The production is raw, it fits the vibe, it might come off a little too muddy for listeners who aren't into the polished death metal. And while the guttural vocals are strong, they don't change up too much. So if it's not your thing, it could be a little one note or repetitive over 10 tracks. Also, the mid-paced songs like 39 Bodies, they're solid, but they start to blend together a little bit. They're not filler, they just don't have the same punch as some of the more aggressive tracks do. The choruses are kind of stripped down like Corrosive, where they kind of repeat the title, so that's another negative. But this band is not really trying to be trendy. They're not trying to do anything they're not expecting. They're not really trying to be a new tech death. They're not adding symphonic stuff. They're just doing what they know how to do, which is old school death metal, the UK brand, and that's what they've always done. That's what people expect, and they're good at it. So we're not really expecting anything else.
This is fine.
So my final score is 8 out of 10. Cancer's back, and yes, they still got it. It's not for everyone, but if you like early 90s death metal, it's UK death metal that got ties to the Florida scene, so that's pretty cool. And it's just a decent death metal, solid album. That's all I gotta say. Check out my review of the latest album by Benediction, another UK death metal band. Thanks for watching. Please give the video a like. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you're not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.